Hi there, Cosmic Family. My name is Leal in this incarnation. Today I have a different video, and I think that I was unconsciously delaying to talking about this topic because I talked about this in my Spanish channel the last year. So one of the first videos that I shared in this channel was my personal story with anxiety and how I healed that through my spiritual path. And today I wanted to share this reflection, even though I don't have a diagnosis of ADHD. Sorry, I'm struggling with the pronunciation of that. Because I understood many years ago that psychology and medicine in general without the integration of the soul is incomplete. So I didn't look up for one. But when I found out like 2 years ago what ADHD was, I couldn't believe that that was a thing, because I experienced this my whole life, like what the people was sharing on media. And of course, I did my investigation after. So I wanted to talk about my story because maybe it is useful for someone else. And I was the distracted kid when I was a child. I was kicked out of the class because I was losing focus, or I was laughing, or I was distracted every time. And although I didn't have bad degrees, because I could acquire big amounts of information from one day to another, because I always procrastinated until the last minute my whole life. And I did many things, like I studied visual arts, acting classes, different instruments. I started psychology, many things, but I didn't last in anything because, mainly I was losing focus, and because, I was like looking for something else. The only thing that I could sustain a long time that were my anchors were music and astrology. That was the two things that I could sustain. But this was like intermittent in some way. And I had several jobs. I didn't last either. I spent like 1 or 2 years, the more. Then I decided to travel in between. But I really didn't last because those jobs were very boring, the same I was feeling in the school. And in many of them, I was very mistreated too. In fact, the first job that I had, I was a teenager. I wasn't having a good time in that place. And I think that I unconsciously self-sabotage myself because I made a terrible mistake, product of a distraction, and everybody was treating me like I was stupid, and I really felt it at that moment. But then I realized that that place wasn't for me. So how I said, I experienced anxiety and depression too. I'm very sensitive to noises, and I thought that perseverance was something that I could never achieve, that to construct something wasn't for me in some way. But when I started this path, this spiritual path many years ago, I realized that my soul was guiding me through all the things that I was doing. In fact, I started psychology because I had experiences with narcissists and psychopaths, but I ended up studying about that by myself for several years. I was struggling with adapting to the system in general. So what I'm trying to say is that I was a very hard worker person, because I think in the rest of my jobs, my bosses were very happy with me. But I wasn't in the right place, and I couldn't conform myself. I couldn't do it. I wasn't a soul that could conform. And when I found out my path, my role, what I came here to do as a grown adult, it took many years for me. Everything started to rebalance. Everything. You know, how I said, I experienced anxiety, and I did have a diagnosis of that, and depression, and, you know, I still struggle with the oversharing thing. I had several lessons with my YouTube channels, but I am learning about that. But everything started to rebalance. And right now I am creating content in different language, in Portuguese, in Spanish, in English, for several accounts in social media every day since 2022. And I think that I am quite perseverant, and I really can construct. The fact was that I wasn't building in the past in the right places, or I just had to experience those things for the time that I did. And I am saying all of this because I don't care how the labels that medicine could put this, you know, if ADHD is a disorder. I think is a way of being. So it doesn't matter how the identity is presenting. What is important is that the imbalances always respond to a misalignment with the soul. And I know this because I can heal myself very quickly of manifestations in my body when I identify the emotions or the decisions that I have to take. I literally heal myself from one day to another of things that happen. So I am saying this also because there are many kids that are medicated, and I think those medications many times are operating in function to turn off parts of them that shouldn't be. And, you know, when we are talking about kids, well, the parents have to, you know, make this contact with the soul. But I think it's important to talk about this because the industry, the pharmaceutic industry, I don't think they really want to help people. I think that system is totally corrupted. It's totally manipulated. And I think somebody has to say it. So, how I said, I discovered that everything brought me to this point, and that all the imbalances respond to unconscious programming that I had to heal, of course, but also from trying to adapt, and as Krishnamurti said, to a society that was already sick. So I don't think we have to adapt anymore. I think we should embrace our differences and find our path. And the only way to do that is in contact with the soul. So I just wanted to leave this video today. Thank you everyone, and see you in the next video. Ciao, ciao.